I'm Dave Atkinson with the Red River Economic Development Group, RRED. I'll mention that our group formed as a committee of the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce a few years ago to try to do something positive about economic development in Eastern Kentucky. The group quickly focused on tourism as an untapped resource in a gorgeous area of our state. RRED is a nine-member board, has a nine-member board of directors, and one thing I'll go ahead and mention tonight that's new since the first town hall meeting that was a month ago, this being the second. RRED has agreed with the Kentucky Chamber to spin off as its own nonprofit effective September 30th of this year. So we have an attorney drawing up the papers and getting the IRS nonprofit designation, charitable designation for RRED as a separate entity, separate legal entity. The board will stay the same. It's 5 business people chaired by Mr. Charlie Beach, who's the chairman of People's Exchange Bank. He's former mayor of Beattyville. Jean Hale, who's the chairwoman of Community Trust Bank in Pikeville. Elmer Whitaker of Whitaker Bank and Trust, Whitaker Bank in, he started in Powell County, but that bank has gotten a lot bigger than that now. And then Luther Deaton, chairman of the Central Bank, headquartered in Lexington. He's originally from Breathitt County. And then Jim Post, an Eastern Kentucky guy who made his name in collegiate sports and marketing, and is headquartered in, or retired, but lives in Lexington. Also, the 4 county judges, Judge Caudle from Lee County, who's on the call, Judge Anderson of Powell County, the judge of Menifee, and I'm drawing a blank, I'm embarrassed. And I've been corresponding frequently recently, and the judge of Wolfe County. So the 4 county judges are on the board also. So that group will be a separate entity, but with the same board of directors starting October 1. With that, I'll mention that we do plan to have a 3rd town hall meeting in August, and John Bucher, who's our consulting project manager, will mention that in just a minute. By the way, the judge of Menifee County, thank you, Judge Anderson, is Rick Stiltner, the judge there. And by the way, he's the treasurer of our RED and has helped us tremendously with the grant that we got from the federal and state governments. And then Judge Raymond Banks of Wolfe County. So thanks very much. I had a brain burp there. We hired the Stantec consulting firm to do a master plan for a destination resort, but also for tourism in the 4 county area around Red River Gorge. And we're probably somewhere between 1/3 of the way through that project and halfway through that project. A lot of research has been done. I think we're getting to a very interesting stage where they'll start to have some recommendations. But tonight's focus is a little bit different in terms of gathering ideas, and our project manager, John, can explain that in just a minute. I'm serving as project manager for RRED and kind of the local project manager for this project, trying to hold things together. But our consulting team, John will introduce in just a minute. They visited some sites at the Red River Gorge recently, spent 3 or 4 days in the Gorge area looking at potential sites, etc., and they can tell about that when time comes. But tonight's a night to gather ideas. So John, I'll turn it over to you. And do we have a chat line tonight?
We do. We have a chat, and we have a Q&A, and we're going to be asking folks to use those as we move through the meeting. And so I'll give some details on that as we go through.
Okay, so, everyone's muted for right now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, take it from here.
Okay. Yeah, as Dave mentioned, my name is John Bucher. I'm in the Louisville office of Stantec. I grew up in Kentucky, just outside Mammoth Cave National Park. I have spent a lot of time in the Gorge area. So prior to this project, I was very familiar with the Gorge, at least thought I was. But it's amazing the things that you learn when you really have to dig into it. So one of the things I learned is how little I know about the Gorge area, and that's been fascinating. So also speaking with me tonight is Nancy Locke, and I'll let Nancy introduce herself before we get started.
Yeah, hi, my name is Nancy Locke, and I'm working with our team. I'm based in Denver, Colorado, and I am bringing broader experiences from other communities, resort communities, smaller communities that are feeling the impacts of tourism. So that's some of the stuff I'll be talking about tonight.
All right. And we also have on the line with us, who we may ask to speak later, Greg Meyer and Kevin Mangan. They're part of our Stantec team. Greg is in Orlando and Kevin is in Naples. And they bring a lot of resort and tourism planning experience as well. So I am going to share my screen, and it lets me, yeah. So okay, so just to give you a quick, I guess, overview of what we're going to discuss tonight. I'm going to go through what our schedule has been, some of the things that we've been up to, some of the things we've heard from our local advisory board, as well as our conversations with stakeholders in the area. And then we're going to do a few exercises with you to gather more information and validate some of the things that we've heard. And then we'll have a time for you all to ask some additional questions as we get to the end. And we're going to introduce some of the things that have started to bubble up as things that will go into our tourism development strategy. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about before we get going, is that a lot of focus has been put on a master plan for a destination resort. That is one large and important component of an overall tourism development strategy for the Wolf County, Red River Gorge area. That's Wolf, Menifee, Lee, and Powell. And so the things that we're talking about tonight are really broader in scope and look at the 4-county area in general, as opposed to specifically the resort. So just to give you an idea of what we have coming up in terms of schedule. So obviously tonight, July 28th, we're having this public workshop. On August 13th, we'll meet again with our local advisory board to further advance the ideas of the tourism strategy, as well as some of the resort concepts. We will, on August 18th at 7 p.m., we'll have another meeting similar to this one, where we'll share with you some of the ideas that have come up in between now and then, and give you a chance to provide some feedback on those. We will have our draft report for Red River Economic Development by the end of August, and then we'll use the time after that by the end of September to clean things up a bit, prepare our final deliverable, and we'll do a public presentation of that in a similar format to this on September 29th. So please keep those dates in mind. You'll be able to find those on our website where you found the link to this meeting, and where hopefully you've completed our survey and participated on the ideas wall as well. So what we've heard from the community. So in addition to the first town hall meeting we had with you all last month, we have a local advisory board that we meet with monthly. And we also met with several other folks, and we still have meetings coming that we're still having, and we'll probably add some more to this list. But this is just to give you an idea of the types of stakeholders that we've been talking to help us put together not only the master plan, but also the tourism development strategy. Some of those will be should be familiar to all of you. So when building on our last local advisory board meeting, we're going to go through some similar exercises to what we did with that group tonight, and then talk about some new things. And so we're going to review some of the things that came up in that meeting, and some of the things that we've heard from our other meetings, and give you guys a chance to add to that. So we had a very interactive work session that works really well in a small group, but we're not really comfortable using with such a large group. Last time we had this meeting, we had about 95 individual attendees. And so some of the things that we can do in our smaller 15-person group make sense for that group, but we can't really do here. So I'm going to show you some of the things that we did with the local advisory board, just so you can see what we were up to. So we asked all of them to tell us what best describes the Red River Gorge 4-county area. And they gave us several words. Some gave us more than one. Some people drew some pictures, but as you can see, there's a variety of things on the screen that speak to how they would describe the Red River Gorge. I'll give you a minute to take that in. I won't repeat them all, but you can look through and see the kinds of things that they had to say. The next thing we asked is what will visitors say about the Red River Gorge four-county area in 10 years? And this is trying to help us with the tourism development strategy specifically. What's the vision for the area in 10 years? Where do we want to be? And so this is kind of a hopeful thing. What do we think visitors will say? Some people were a bit more realistic in what they think people might say that might not be quite so hopeful. But that's important too, because then we kind of know some of the issues that we need to specifically address, and hopefully we can help avoid some things that may not be ideal. So I'll give you a few minutes to kind of soak that in from what we heard from the local advisory board. Nancy, I can't see, when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat or the Q&A, so if anything comes up that I need to stop, let me know, please. All right,
Okay, I'm not sure I can see the chat either.
Oh, okay. The next thing that we asked was, what do we think locals will say about the Red River Gorge four-county area in 10 years? And this is, it's kind of interesting, the contrast, because the reason we ask these questions differently is what will visitors say and what will locals say is that, part of our job is to come up with some recommendations that are respectful of both the visitors and the locals, and hopefully bring opportunities for everyone. And then we asked them what is missing in the Red River Gorge four-county area. And as you can see, they had lots of things that they felt like were missing, that they would like to see added to the area. And some of those are definitely things that will fit well into the tourism development strategy that we're working on. So we will be looking at those, many of those in more detail. Okay. So next, Nancy's going to kind of go through the things that have kind of come to the surface as the biggest concerns for the area that we hope to be able to address in some way in our work. So Nancy, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, well, I'll try and go through these pretty quickly. So there's 9 real key concerns that rose to the top in all of our discussions with different stakeholders, and so we've tried to synthesize these and package them and put them back out to see if we have heard you correctly. Number 1, this was embraced by everyone. Concern about the capacity of the Red River Gorge area and this idea that we're loving it to death. There are multiple transportation and parking issues on the loop road. There's issues with trails of Forest Service trails versus user-created trails. The search and rescue capacity is also becoming maxed in its ability to respond to the growing need. So probably that is this capacity of the area is probably one of the #1 things that we've heard. Although as I present these are not in any particular order. Number 2, the importance of the protection of natural resources of the area. everything from the cultural remnants, artifacts of past history to the incredible plant diversity that exists in the area, the diverse habitat, sensitive habitat that is here, and a significant concern about any future development not impacting the drainages that we ensure water quality is maintained or improved, and concern about not increasing those downstream flows and resulting in additional flooding. Did you go to the next slide, John?
Yeah, it may take just a moment.
Okay. Okay. So next on the list, this lack of year-round vibrancy. The Red River Gorge area is quite seasonal. It's really active from spring, summer, and fall. Winters really don't see a lot of visitors to the area. So that seasonality creates challenges when you are trying to operate year-round retail, for example. It also is difficult for the year-round population to sustain itself in terms of meaningful employment. There's lack of evening activities. That's something that we've heard frequently. And a general desire for the visitors that come to the area to find ways that they can actually spend a little bit more money in the community. And there are a lot of different ways that we can look at that. The next issue is the lack of job diversity and higher paying jobs. Along with the seasonality of tourism, you get a seasonality of jobs. In addition to that, there's a concern that younger generations that may grow up in the area may not have the opportunity to come back and live there. And there's a trend of people leaving the four-county area. So a desire to get greater job diversity is really important to the sustainability of the area. The next is making sure that we preserve the authenticity of the place. The characteristics of this area, it's relatively small scale, fine-grained. There's a humble quality about it, a lot of locally run businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs. The small towns that surround the gorge are incredibly appealing. They're comfortable, walkable. The accommodations and retail that exist there are fairly low key. There's access to the outdoors everywhere, and the local business owners are friendly and entrepreneurial. The next one that we heard quite a lot of is the desire for more collaboration among the four-county areas, and with that, less competition. There's limited resources, limited dollars, limited staff, and a desire to work collectively to improve the efforts all the way around. And then along with that is this notion, ties back to a few of the other ones that we've spoken of before, the idea of increasing and dispersing tourism spending across the four-county area. I think everyone has expressed a concern that Campton, Beattyville, Frenchburg, Stanton, all the other communities around the area, if they could benefit more greatly from the visitors that do come from the area. The next one is concerned with the scale and impact of the destination resort. And there are many components to this one. One is that this idea of competing with the cabin industry, there's a concern that that's been a really strong, vital industry in the area, and a hesitation to bring in something that might disrupt that. Another is this idea, and I think we've heard this loud and clear in all the meetings, and I think I can 100% say that nobody on the consulting team or Dave's group is thinking about creating a Gatlinburg here, but there is a concern that we generate unsustainable growth and overly themed areas, and that is not the intent. But we have heard you loud and clear. That is not what the community wants. And then along with that is the idea that whatever happens here is incompatible with the character of the area. So whatever happens has to be fully integrated. And then finally, the need for planning in the four-county area for both land use and infrastructure. For infrastructure, we're talking about water, sewer, all utilities, planning for growth, the idea of flood control, the idea of enforcing building codes in the development, in the development of cabins, and how do we protect the scenic qualities and ecological diversity of the area? The idea that planning and zoning controls can actually be a tool that can help in that. That is something that we have heard from a few different voices.
All right, so I am going to stop my screen share for just a moment, and we're going to ask you all to participate in a poll. And what we've got, and I will launch it. It's 2 questions with all the same answers, but we want you to pick 3. So the first thing is, we'd like you to select the 3 tourism-related issues in the Red River Gorge area that you're most concerned about. So the 3 that you're most concerned about, and then we want to know which are the 3 that you're least concerned about. And I will launch that right now. It should show up on your screen. So please vote. And once you finish, I will share the results with everybody so we can all see them.
Hey, John.
Oh, it looks like that is not allowing us to select more than 1. I don't know if I can fix that while we're on or not. Let me see. I may not be able to. Though, yeah, I'm not going to be able to fix that. So I guess we'll just, I apologize, we'll have to go with the, on the second part of that, the 1, because of the way that question was set up, I apologize. if you would like, you can add the other two in the chat, and that way we have a record of that. And I apologize for that mix-up. But if you can, for the second part of that question, if you add them in the chat, then we can add that to the results. Because we'll have a record, the chat will be saved. Okay, looks like they're starting to come in.
By the way, John, I assume everyone can find the chat. I was in those. I was finding it in the top right corner of my screen with the little dots up there. Tap on it, and chat comes down. John, could you hear that?
Yeah, sorry, I was
Oh.
checking the next poll to make sure that we don't have the same problem with that one, but that one's good.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, it looks like most people have found the chat, but yeah, depending on how your screen is set up, you may have to put your cursor on the bottom of the screen, and then a menu will pop up and you can choose chat.
Okay. Paul Hammond asked if we could show the list again. Can you do that?
Is it not still up? Oh, it may be. It may be that there is a way, Paul. If you go back in, you should be able to retake the poll. We've had this come up before, that you can retake the poll. Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, we still have a few people, I think, still answering. So we have 37 attendees, but 2 of those are Stantec, and we've had 26 people submit. So we'll give you a little bit more time, and then we'll show the results. I definitely appreciate the comment that it's hard to choose when they're almost all important. We got that feedback from the local advisory board, and we understand. So please, if you can humor us and choose the best ones, then that would be helpful. But we do understand that all of them are important, or they wouldn't have made the list. But one of the things that we are trying to do is to help to prioritize the action items that will go into the tourism development strategy. Okay. All right. I think we have probably gotten everybody that's going to answer. So if anybody's still working, put something in the chat to let me know you're still answering. And if not, then I'll end the polling and show the results. Okay. Can you all see the results on screen?
I can, John.
Okay, good.
What's the difference between a blue line and an orange line there?
I think the orange lines are the ones that got more votes.
I see. Okay. Doesn't seem to correspond with the percentages.
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah. All right. I was blurring the two questions together. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm taking screenshots of the results so that I don't lose them.
So number one looks like it's natural resources and environmental protection.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, loving the gorge to death. And number three, scale and impact of a potential destination resort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it seems that in general, folks are not that concerned about a decline in overall tourism. I think I saw that show up a few times in the chat box as well.
I think we heard the same from the local advisory board on that one too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we will move on to the next question we had from you all, for you all. And so I am going to launch a new poll. Oops. I thought I was. Okay, here we go. Poll number 2. So what I'm launching now in this poll are the things that we heard from various folks, mainly the local advisory board, but also from our stakeholders, is what is missing. And there's two questions, but the only reason there's two questions is that the program would only allow me to have 10 answers for you to choose from per question. So they're the same question. You can select any of them that you agree with. So what we'd like to know is, of those things that we've heard are missing, if you agree with it, then check it. If you don't agree with it, then just leave it blank. And then if we miss anything, if there's something that's not on the list that you believe is missing, please add that to the chat box.
John, someone asked about whether or not we could know who was answering questions and where they actually live, but the poll doesn't give you that, does it?
No, it doesn't tell us how you answer as individuals. So.
Did you notice Rich's question? Do you believe it is missing, or do I think it matters that it's missing?
I think that in terms of, no, I would say if it's you believe it's missing. So if you don't think it needs to be there, then don't vote for it. But if you think it should be there, then vote for it.
Right. And John, I think you mentioned that there's going to be an opportunity to add items in the chat box.
Yes, yeah, and we've gotten a few. Somebody added night activities and parking.
Yep.
You all can't see the results currently, right?
No.
No.
Interesting comment there from Sandy regarding business
Yeah.
incubation.
I was just reading that.
Nancy Bill Straken is singing your song, Biking and Hiking Trail Systems to Connect RRG to Local Communities in the 4-County area.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit more about that tonight. So John, is it possible for people to see the chat, or can just is that just us that can see the chat?
I
think it's to all panelists. Oh, no, it's just a panelist student.
Hmm.
um,
There's a request to make it so everyone can see that, which I think would be great if we could do that.
well, I have it set so that you can do that. So Zena says there's two feeds, one to panelists and one to attendees.
So there should be an option to pick all panelists and attendees.
Yeah, and if you do that, you should be able to see all of the chat.
Yeah, I just clicked on that.
Okay. It looks like most everybody has voted, and we've got lots of things coming in the chat. So please continue to add things that you'd like to see, either things that you'd like to see happen or specific things you'd like to see added. Please continue to add those.
And John, maybe we can get all of these chat comments posted on the website after this meeting as well.
Yeah, I get basically it's a Microsoft Excel sheet from Zoom that has all the comments in it. Yeah, we can do that. I might take out the ones where we're giving each other instructions on how to use the chat,
Yeah.
and the ones where people are adding things. So.
Kelsey Foreman has some good comments there about traffic and parking, trash bins.
Yep. Yeah, the parking in the Gorge Central area is definitely something that we've heard a lot about. We've talked to the Forest Service about it. They actually have had somebody come to them recently to ask questions about a shuttle service, and so that may be something that that we talk more about in the future is how we might offer shuttle service to those who would like to use it. As you guys know, a lot of the Gorge area, it's not really feasible to require shuttle service, but there could be some benefits to the shuttle that that people can choose to take if they don't want to bother with driving or know that it can get crowded in there with cars. Okay. All right. Well, I think we've got, I'm going to turn off the polling and I'm going to share the results so you all can see how it went. It looks like you'll definitely agree that there's a need for infrastructure improvements. We definitely have heard that, and there's and I misspelled broadband. I can't believe it. Yeah, there's been some talk about that, and some of the things that we've looked at specifically related to broadband, tell us that it is coming in some areas sooner than others, but that definitely is in the works. Water and sewer is a bit more difficult, but that's something we've been talking about.